Semi-final number 2 coming up, and boy, it's a good one. Archbishop Molloy and Archbishop Stepinac at St. John's University. And a pleasant good evening, everybody. Alongside Kevin Devaney Jr., I'm John Perez. Well, we already know who's in Game 1. Cardinal Hayes with a thrilling victory against Bishop Laughlin just a couple of moments ago, and they get to face the winner of this game. Archbishop Molloy running roughshod over the entire Catholic League this year, but they did lose a home game, and they lost Archbishop Stepinac, a team that is not afraid of anybody.
The team I never saw coming winning the game, I never thought they'd ever win, was Stepinac going on the road to reach Archbishop Molloy. That gives a lot of people thinking that they could do it again. Can you go and beat Molloy on this stage, in the spotlight? I don't think there's any pressure on Stepinac to go out there and do it again.
And it's virtually a home game for Molloy. You could literally walk to the campus from St. John's. But with that said, everyone likes to talk about the guards, Kevin, but let's look up front. You've got 2 good ones in Moses Brown and Alan Griffin.
Moses Brown at 7'1", underclassman, and a guy who can finish. I watched him several times this year, and my whole thought was, how is anybody going to stop him when he's locked in? And he's been locked in all season long. A terrific big man in this league. As good of a big man as you'll find at the high school level, as polished a big man. And he really, the one thing he does more than any big man that I've ever seen is he takes away the transition game. He's so good at defending rebounders. Nobody gets outlets on him. And for Stepinac, Alan Griffin has been a guy who's, I didn't think he was going to play again. In the final week of the season, he tears his meniscus, and they said, hey, listen, if you can stand the pain, you can play. And he's not only played, he's thrived. We saw what he did in the Archdiocese final against Mount St. Michael, scoring 39 points, almost knocking off Mount in that game. And we've seen Alan Griffin rise to a different level as this postseason has gone on.
The winner gets to play Cardinal Hayes Sunday in Rose Hill, but we're 4 quarters away from finding out who they'll play. It's all coming up next on News 12 Varsity's Game Time.
Who will rise higher, dunk harder, and go farther? The playoffs are here. Tune to News 12 Varsity all postseason long.
We're 32 minutes away from finding out who will face Cardinal Hayes in the final Sunday afternoon. There's the Archbishop Stepinac Crusaders, and they'll roll out a starting lineup of Jordan Means and Makai Johnson in the backcourt with R.J. Davis, and the forwards Alan Griffin and Xavier Wilson. For Molloy, they haven't really changed their starting lineup at all this season. We mentioned Moses Brown in the beginning. Khalid Moore and John Herring are the 2 other forwards, with Jackson Bertucci and Cole Anthony. And there's the head coach, Pat Massaroni. Kevin, if I were to tell you last year,
no,
your team's going to finish under 500, lose your 2 best players, no way you would think they get to this point.
I've been practicing all day for this part of the conversation. I would have said no chance. You lose Jordan Tucker, you lose Andre Hyatt, and you're now a win away from playing for the championship. You have a violation against Xavier Wilson on the jump ball, and I think Xavier Wilson knew that it was a no-win situation on that one. But Pat Massaroni coming in as his 2nd-year head coach. And obviously some growing pains last year as a head coach. I've seen a different temperament out of him on the sideline. I've seen him interact with the players differently, and we're seeing him now take this program to the semifinals with a potential date against a former head coach who's on the staff of Cardinal Hayes and Tim Phillip, leading Cardinal Hayes past Bishop Laughlin in the other semifinal earlier tonight.
And the head coach, of course, for Molloy, Mike McCleary, in his 4th season, and John Herring gets the Stanners on the board.
There are some possessions for Archbishop Molloy that looks so easy, and you say, why don't they just do that every time? And John Herring going baseline, finishing above the rim.
Our officials today, Mike Nardone, Dave Graham, and Ray Downs. The pull-up jumper from Davis hits off the front rim, and Herring taps the rebound to Moore.
For my family watching at home, Ray Downs, yes, it is that Ray Downs, the one I grew up with in Eastchester, New York. Played Little League together.
As Moore gets fouled. And that'll be the first on Jordan Means. Who was the better Little Leaguer?
That's not even a question. Ray was. He hit absolute missiles. And he could pitch. And he could throw. And he could catch. He could do all the things I really couldn't do.
They try to throw it inside to Brown, and it gets taken away. R.J. Davis to the cup, and a goaltend against John Herring. And John Herring is contributed to all the points scored here so far. A 2-2 game early on.
Like seeing the aggressiveness out of R.J. Davis to start here.
You know, last year, Cole Anthony took the season by storm as he can't stick the three, and the ball will trickle out of bounds. It'll be Stepinac ball. But in Westchester, they're looking at R.J. Davis the way that people in Brooklyn, Queens are looking at Cole Anthony.
Yeah, they are, and just a freshman coming in here. And it's funny, the league is so spoiled, the Catholic League, with freshmen who come in and make an impact. And we've seen a lot of guys come in and do somewhat what R.J. Davis has done. But for him to do it out of Westchester County, an Elmsford kid, pretty special. And off the glass, a senior, Jordan Means, with the basket.
The senior from Manhattan averages 13.6 points a game. And he gives the Crusaders a 2-point lead. Stepinac 18-10, second place in the New York AA division. Crusaders used a 17-0 run to polish off Christ the King 78-67 to set up a date with Molloy, who brushed aside All Hallows Sunday afternoon as Khalid Moore takes a spill.
And Jordan Means is upset. They were fighting for the loose ball, and he gets called for the whistle. Second foul on Means, and that's why his reaction was what it was, and that's disappointing in it. 2 minutes into a semifinal game to have that. And he's got to watch himself here, and no, he's got to watch for the bench as Peyton Hudson returns or comes into the game, the talented three-point shooter.
The 6-foot junior out of Yonkers. You mentioned him shooting from downtown, 42% from distance. Here's a guy that doesn't mind letting it fly. Neither does Vertucci. Can't sink the three. Griffin with the rebound. Wilson gets his pocket picked. Now Cole Anthony taking on three defenders. Offensive foul. A nice job by Alan Griffin, the transfer from Ossining, to set his feet and give Anthony his first foul.
Griffin's going to play the 2 and sometimes play the 1 on offense, and then on defense he's going to be playing inside the 4 or the 5 position, depending if Xavier Wilson's in the game. So really one of the more versatile players in the league. And, you know, he had a very good year last year in Section 1 at Ossining High School in his first year at Ossining, but he has really taken his game to a different level this season.
Second team All-League, offers from Iona, Manhattan, LaSalle, Massachusetts, and has interest from Fordham and Delaware. There you see the size of Brown, but they're not able to corral it. Griffin a 3. Off the back iron, long rebound, tap back, right into the hands of Hudson.
Opportunistic Stepinac defense here, yeah, taking advantage of just the ball going around and just out-hustling Molloy here in the early minutes.
Makai Johnson. Davis from Greenberg, and that's where he was born, and that's where he shot it from. The rainbow triple gives Stepinac a 7-2 lead.
Had to shoot over Mount Carmel, which is in northern parts of the Hudson Valley, because Moses Brown was coming out with his 7'1" frame and his arm extended.
Anthony gets walled off. The skip pass for Tucci. Towards John Herring. Good defense out of Griffin.
Just makes all the hustle plays. You know, there's a lot of talented players in this league, and I think what separates them is you look at Marquise Noel in the last game and Toussaint for Hayes. It's just they just constantly hustling and making the little things difficult for the opposing team.
They throw it in towards Moore. Giving chase was Davis. Now a 5-on-4. Stanners with the numbers. Good defense by Johnson to frustrate. And just a sea of white and midnight blue going into that Stepinac bench.
And Pat Masseroni's excited with what Makai Johnson's giving them, just causing so much havoc defensively.
Jade C will check in for Molloy. Xavier Wilson back in for the Crusaders. Griffin has to pick up his dribble. 4:20 to go, first quarter. And Wilson called for steps.
Thought he beat his man off the dribble. And Joel Soriano will check in for Stepinac, the 6'9" kid out of Yonkers, taking the place of Wilson.
Khalid Moore into the backcourt. Now going coast to coast. And he draws the foul. So that'll be the first on Soriano. And the team's third, Khalid Moore to the line.
Pat Masseroni, the Stepinac coach, is Talking about things being called both ends, he felt like his players have been bumped a little bit inside, and a difficult foul called against them. Called against Stepinac there, third team foul, one against Molloy. 7-2 Stepinac leads.
Khalid Moore, a 50% free throw shooter, a junior, with offers from St. John's, Hofstra, Seton Hall, Rutgers, Louisville, Miami, and VCU. Herring comes away with it, then goes to the cup, and he'll head to the line.
It's going to be the second on Soriano, who's not even into the game for 30 seconds, and maybe going to the bench with fouls.
So Soriano with 2, as well as Jordan Means. And the southpaw to the line. John Herring, the best baseball player on the basketball team, with interest from Northwestern. A left fielder for the Stanners. He was so close to not playing this year that he had discussions with head coach Mike McCleary that he wasn't going to play basketball. And his parents kind of coaxed him into it and said, it's one thing if you're not playing and you just don't want to play basketball anymore. You're an integral part to this team. He took their advice, and, you know, sometimes mom and dad know what's best. R.J. Davis, the floater, off the mark. Brown with the board.
Sometimes kids want to feel wanted, and you want to see how much they really need me on this team, and they obviously do.
Moore from inside the arc, Cash. Khalid Moore, averaging 11.5 points a game. He's coming off a 21-point performance, and he pulls Molloy to within 1, 7-6, 3:35 to go in the first quarter. Well, and I had the opportunity to speak to McCleary about that earlier in the year, and he said, it's not that we didn't want him, it's we wanted him the whole time. It was just his decision. And that's the one thing about McCleary, too, and it's not just his demeanor on the court, but off the court, he gives his players a long leash, and we saw that last year with Anthony just being a freshman, and Brown, just an easy jam.
If there is such thing as an easy dunk, that was it. Taps the backboard on the way down, and the rim is still, the backboard is still shaking on the right end of the screen.
Davis gets C to bite. Goes to the corner. Hudson tees up a 3. Moore to the ground.
As I said in the pregame, just the way that Moses Brown comes out on shooters, defensive rebounders, Xavier Wilson goes in and gets fouled.
And that'll go against Moore. And it'll be the first on Moore.
Most possessions, most time on the floor. Molloy is going to have the 3 tallest players out there. And they have it right now. As Wilson's going to have his work cut out for him inside. Stepinac, we've seen early on here, just try to push the tempo. Let their guards get out in space, try and run, try and get Moses Brown to get caught between the foul line to foul line.
He's a 53% free throw shooter, a transfer from Dwight Englewood in New Jersey. How about this for a pregame routine, which I think he stole from you? Meditation and then listens to Big Sean.
Big Sean and meditation. You know me well, John.
Hits the second one. See, I wish I knew a Big Sean song to then just compare
all
to
the
that.
research you do, and you couldn't come up with one song.
I'm an Eminem guy. C into the front court. He's also a transfer. Played for Benjamin Cardoza last year. And we'll get an offensive foul. Second charge we've seen drawn by the Crusaders. This time it's R.J. Davis. And that'll be the second for Khalid Moore. So both teams with starters and 2 fouls, as Ed Sanchez will check in for the Crusaders. Treston Livingston checks in for the Stanners.
Seeing the fresh dew of Peyton Hudson, number 3.
Game tied at 8. Hudson short on a 3. Offensive board, Griffin, and 1.
The ball just has a magic way sometimes of finding Alan Griffin. He was totally out of position there. The rebound just kind of came his way off the rim in his hands, and he gets the foul in the finish.
Griffin averages 15.9 points a game. Hits the free throw, and it's an 11-8 lead for Stepinac. Molloy looking for its first AA title appearance since 2000 when they lost to St. Ray's. And Moses Brown with the tap. Edward Minaya also on the floor for the Crusaders as we see them go deep with Means in foul trouble and giving away breathers as well. Jade Seed to the cup. No, Brown another board, tries to slam it and draws the foul. Moses Brown averages 13.5 rebounds a game.
That's it?
Yeah, seriously.
It's amazing. At 7'1", you could just do things that people only dream of, and that was one right there. Basically caught a rebound with his back to the basket, turned, and almost threw it down.
He misses the free throw. He's a 55% free throw shooter. However, in the lone appearance against Stepinac this year, 19 points and only 7 boards. He did have 6 blocks in that game, if that counts for anything, but I'm sure he would have rather taken the W. Minute 30 to go, 11-10 Stepinac. Wilson with the left hand over Brown.
Xavier Wilson's quicker than Moses Brown. That's not really breaking news. And right there, Xavier Wilson's got to recognize that he went by him with absolute ease. And if Stepinac, thinking moving forward, if there's just over a minute to go in this first quarter, that's a matchup. If they can get Moses Brown to step away from the basket and make moves to go into the paint, they'll have a good shot.
Herring fumbled the ball at first, picked up his dribble, and converts to put Molloy within 1. And a whistle. And that looks to be against C. And that'll be the first against C. Griffin hits on the first, 14-12 lead. Ethan Rohan, the 6'6 junior out of Yonkers, checks in for Stepinac. As Wilson takes a breather. And Griffin hits the second, a 3-point lead for the Crusaders. Cole Anthony in the front court. Here's Livingston with his offhand, uses that left hand to get to the cup, but blows the layup. And with a .5 differential between the game and shot clock, Massaroni telling his team to play for 1. But that shot was taken by Minaya. Molloy had an opportunity, but now Stepinac finally with a chance for 1.
Couple mistakes both ways there as Cole Anthony saw the leak out and just overthrew his teammate. Sean Herring was out in pursuit, but just overthrown. So missed the cutoff man to the baseball player. 23 seconds left to go in this first quarter.
R.J. Davis offers from Manhattan, Old Dominion, and LaSalle with interest from Stanford, California, Virginia, and Kansas. The teardrop, no. Anthony with 2. Anthony at the horn, can't bank it in. And after 1, Stepinac with a 15-12 lead in the semifinals. We'll talk about it at the start of the second quarter. You're watching News 12 Varsity's Game Time.
On March 12th, starting at 11 a.m., watch the best of Long Island high school basketball battle for the right to be called champions. Live on Channel 14. This doubleheader begins at 11 a.m. with the Class A Finals, followed by the Class AA Finals at 1:30 p.m. Watch the best of Long Island high school basketball live on the big screen on Optimum Channel, Channel 14.
There, of course, is Greg Anthony, the father of Cole Anthony. Played his college ball at UNLV, played for the Knicks, among others in the 90s. Watching his son. A proud father is Greg Anthony, but he's watching his son's team trail by 3 as we start the second quarter. And Stepinac with possession.
I one day earlier this year was going through my Twitter feed and I saw I was followed by Greg Anthony. And I
Not
didn't
too
click
shabby.
in right away, and then I realized I was covering a Molloy game. As you see, Alan Griffin, also the son of a former NBA player, driving in there for the first basket of the second quarter.
So a 17-12 lead for the Crusaders. And while we're throwing out famed alumni and players associated with this program, the last time that these two met in a semifinal was 1986. Marty Conlon for the Crusaders and a guy by the name of Kenny Anderson from Molloy.
Now, what I heard about that game was that in 1986, Kenny Anderson was a freshman, and that he only played 3 quarters of games. Very often, former coach Jack Curran used to have Anthony sit and just watch the first quarter and absorb what was going on in the game, and then he went out there and dominated the rest of the 3 quarters. I said, did he need a whole quarter for that? Could it take us like maybe a minute or 2?
Knocking down the 3, Alan Griffin.
There are just some times when you watch Alan Griffin when his shoulders are square at his release and his hand goes straight down. He is pure.
Herring, the lob, Moses Brown. Sometimes it's too easy.
It's much easier to shoot from that close, isn't it? I mean, the backboard again shaking. What a 3-pointer for Griffin. Let's go back and forth here, fellas.
I see you 2 and raise your 1.
And amazingly, Cole Anthony's not involved in any of this. He hasn't scored a point yet so far this game. Credit to Mekhi Johnson and Peyton Hudson.
And that's one thing, too, at times with Molloy where Cole Anthony is going to take what the defense gives him, and sometimes he's not as aggressive as some might want him to be. But you see him being aggressive on that one. For instance, the game against Mount St. Michael when they lost in December at Mount. Mount virtually hit every shot in the second half as well, and you got to give them credit for the win. But there were times where Anthony would be the inbounder and then not get the ball back and not get many touches on ensuing possessions. And you have to wonder, for a player that has the potential in this Catholic League to be a player of the year, you'd want him touching the ball.
Yeah, he should never settle for someone playing good defense on him, because it's not going to change as you go up the ranks here, as you get to be a veteran player in this league or you get to play at the college level.
So after those 2 points, Cole Anthony now has exactly 1,002 points. He scored 10 in the win in the semifinal against All Hallows to lock down that 1,000 mark. Herring, he's going to get called for a travel.
And I'm not sure Herring is wrong with arguing with the official about that, because the ball he never really had the ball. It was kind of knocked away from him, so he couldn't dribble it.
And that's the second time we've seen that too with Herring.
Just quick hands. Good job there by the Stepinac defensively to just kind of get hands and fingers on the basketball.
But just because I know our audience likes to compare Cole Anthony to Kenny Anderson as well as the other media outlets, and we'll stick to that in a second, as sticking the 3 was Peyton Hudson and put Stepinac up 26-16. At this point in his sophomore year, Kenny Anderson had 1,100 points. As we'll get a foul against Hudson. So Hudson give it and Hudson take it away. But with that said, I'm going to date the audience a little bit too. Cole Anthony would need 98 points to get to 1,100. So I am saying there's a chance.
He's got to win today. 5:23 to go in the first half, and Anthony got on the board in last possession with a couple of free throws and knocks down another one right there.
And that's been all of his points. The team's best free throw shooter at 84%. Him and Brown both averaged 20.3 points a game. Both tied for 3rd in the Catholic League. As he goes 1 for 2 with a 26-17 lead for Stepinac. Davis, the kick out, a 3 in the corner. Hudson, no. That ball almost goes in as Brown almost tapped it in. And then he calls out C. C to Anthony, to the rim, and the finger roll.
He's getting going.
Stepinac looking to get going. The spinorama doesn't go, though, for Wilson.
I don't think Wilson needed to do that. There was really no one around him.
Here's Herring to the cup, another finger roll. John Herring told me a month ago that there's not a shot that he doesn't like. And he puts Molloy within 5, 26-21, timeout Stepinac.
And they're leaving the lane wide open at Stepinac, and that's why they're calling the timeout to go over things defensively, because you had Anthony driving in, and then you had Herring finishing there right to the tin. And if anyone's going to make it easy for themselves scoring close, let it be Moses Brown, not the other guys.
So Molloy not losing many games this year, especially in the Catholic League. Losses to Mount, losses to Stepinac, lost to Bishop Loughlin. But beating Christ the King twice, Loughlin twice, Queens High School teaching at Christ the King in that apparel challenge. They beat Curtis, which is a good team out of the PSAL, and St. Raymond. But then you look at the resume of Stepinac as well. They beat St. Francis out of Maryland, Christ the King twice, once in the regular season and once in the semifinal, obviously. Iona Prep twice, St. Raymond twice, and Long Island Lutheran.
Long Island Lutheran. You know, one of their losses was to Rainey of New Jersey. A very good program down there. Was ranked in our top 20 poll. I think they're still ranked in our top 20 poll.
And they almost stole a game at St. Anthony.
Yeah.
In Jersey City. My point being, though, is that, and we probably said this off the air or on the air in the first game, this isn't the little engine that couldn't Stepinac. They're a legitimate team.
No, it's not a team that got hot late in the year either.
Watch out. Need I say any more? Cole Anthony can get up.
He was too quiet for too long, John. He knew he was going to make up for that lost time in the first quarter. And that's how you do it very loudly. Transition dunk there.
Cole Anthony with offers from Kansas, Georgetown, Iona, and St. John's. Jeff Capel and Nolan Smith have come to practice to see him. Now, I looked this up earlier in the year. If Cole Anthony were to stay 4 years at Molloy, he would be the first New York City recruit to go to Duke since Andre Sweet. Now, of course, they had Lance Thomas, who was from New York City as well, as they're going to call it goaltending again.
What year was that?
Andre Sweet was the 2000s, early 2000s. But the other New York City players were back in the 50s.
Oh, yeah. Elton Brand is from Peekskill, but I know he doesn't count as a New York City player because he lives on the other side of the boroughs, but he was a New York City area player for Peekskill High School in the late 90s. One of the best to ever come out of Westchester County.
Of course. Kool-Aid Moore picks it up. Here's Herring. Herring to the cup again.
He was only going to play baseball, that kid? Are you kidding?
Hudson. And he's going to get called for steps.
And even with that, even with a little cheat slide the foot there, he's still got a shot block. Lloyd defensively locking in. He's only down by 2. 3:46 to go in this first half.
And you're starting to see the Stanner Nation behind the bucket get into the heads of Stepinac. Watch out.
Almost took away my water bottle.
Peyton Hudson almost taking down the whole operation. You know what that was there? That was Peyton telling News 12 Varsity and the rest of the media, hey, give us a chance too.
Hey, I lobbied for him. He broke the school record, or tied the school record for three-pointers in a game. He didn't even start the next game.
I heard that.
He's a sixth man off the bench, of course. And tied a record set by Mike McCauley for three-pointers in a game in that diocesan semifinal win. Mike McCauley is still around the program a lot. You see him around. You can't miss him. He's got long blonde hair.
Ed Sanchez and Edward Manaya check back in for Stepinac. Makai Johnson thought about it. Herring with the step in with his team down 2 to Brown. Moses Brown is feeling it.
They better have another backboard here.
Manaya underneath Griffin, blocked and a foul. And that'll be the first on Herring. Allen Griffin was scoreless against Molloy the last time that they played. Misses the second free throw, but has his team with a 1-point advantage, 29-28, 3 minutes to go in the opening half. Cedar Herring. As we see miscommunication on that set play, and Herring misfired on a pass to Anthony. So 2:45 to go in the second quarter. Here's R.J. Davis and C. Griffin and Moore, this should be fun. The kick out. Johnson can't track it down, but we're seeing Stepinac grab these long rebounds.
Griffin is all over the place. He can't finish there over Brown, but rebounding, distributing, scoring.
Anthony, a hoist a three, book it.
If you're ever wondering what the #1 player in the country looks like, it looks like that.
And that's his sweet spot. From that wing, Cole Anthony knocks down 46% of his threes. Driving baseline is Sanchez. The dish out, Johnson, a rainbow three, off the mark, and another long rebound for Griffin, and a foul.
In a good spot there to draw contact. Fouls him against Khalid Moore.
Nope, that'll be on Herring, and that's his second, and that's kind of better off. I know John will disagree, but that would have been the third on Moore. And Mike McCleary doesn't like to go too deep on his bench. As Griffin misses the free throw, a 31-29 lead for Molloy. Moore, he'll tee up a three, that's short. Bounce in the corner, Johnson hasn't knocked down a three from the corner yet. And now it's Peyton Hudson. Sanchez thought about it, takes on Brown, goes to the cup and scores.
Ties the game back up with just over a minute to go. And Sanchez has a nice little cheering section right behind us. 31 all.
55 seconds to go in this opening half. C and Davis, he calls out the tree Brown to set the screen. Anthony, a three, cash. Nothing but net for Cole Anthony. He's feeling it. A 3-point lead for the Stanners.
Remember when he didn't have any points? And it was, you know, a victory for Stepinac?
Oh, I remember. To the cup, Davis, and he gets the roll.
You know, they're going right at the big man, and I think Moses Brown's a little bit afraid to get some fouls here right before the half.
Molloy can hold for one. As the shot clock's turned off, 17 seconds to go in the opening half.
You got to keep feeding Cole Anthony. If he doesn't take this last shot, with how hot he was in this second quarter, 10 seconds left, figure something out, get him the ball.
Well, now he wants it, as Mekhi Johnson goes to cover him. See the bounce in the corner. Moore was open at the horn, doesn't get it, but Brown will not get it in time. Khalid Moore had a good look, but a good second quarter out of these two. And Molloy will head to the locker room with a 34-33 lead.
On March 11th, starting at 5 p.m., watch the best of New Jersey high school basketball battle for the right to be called champions, live on Channel 14.
At the buzzer, good!
This doubleheader begins at 5 p.m. with the non-public B finals, followed by the non-public A finals at 7 p.m. Watch the best of New Jersey high school basketball live on the big screen on Optimum Channel, Channel 14.
Start of the second half, and there was Kenny the Jet Smith cheering on his alma mater, of course, on the panel at TNT. Here's a fun fact about the Smiths, who Kenny from Lefrak City. His dog's name is Molloy. So there you see that standard connection. Moses Brown in the post. Gets his own miss and dunks it in. How many times do you think Kenny Smith tells everyone to go home after he sees Moses Brown dunk? I mean, Kenny Smith leaves the building after every dunk. That one will trickle towards the Molloy bench. So a 36-33 lead for Molloy, 7:33 to go in this third quarter. Here's Khalid Moore. Over to Cole Anthony. From inside the arc, in and out. Jackson Vertucci committing the foul. So it's Vertucci, Herring, Cole Anthony, Moses Brown, and Khalid Moore on the floor for the Standers. Jordan Means back into the game after collecting 2 fouls within the first 2 minutes of the first quarter. RJ Davis, Alan Griffith, Xavier Wilson, and Mekhi Johnson. Wilson from the side of the paint, Cash.
And what Wilson is trying to do, and he did it successfully on a couple trips down in the first half, was to get Moses Brown out of the paint, make him defend him on the perimeter, either to go by him or defend him on shots, get him out for potential offensive rebounds. He is dominated inside as Moses Brown.
Anthony calling for it, sees the mismatch on Johnson, and he connects. Johnson tried to draw the charge. The officials weren't having any of that. And Anthony sinks another jumper, as does Griffin.
Wow, with contact. You know, you hear the oohs and ahs when Cole Anthony makes a basket like that, but I don't think you're hearing enough when Alan Griffin does it.
This Stepinac team plays with a chip on its shoulder, and, you know, with the exception of their location, they play like a New York City team. Herring. A 40-37 lead for Molloy. The jumper is no good. Here comes Anthony, head of steam. Trying to knife past 2 defenders. And Jordan Means might have just picked up his third. And there it is. So that's the third foul on Means as he tells Massaroni, I ain't going anywhere. And Massaroni agrees. Anthony to Brown. Means with the deflection. Moore catches the entry pass. Moore to the cup. A travel. Peyton Hudson will swap out with Mekhi Johnson.
Mekhi Johnson was done politicking with the ref. Just struggling to get the ball in bounds here is Stepinac.
And we see Jackson Vertucci. He does all the dirty work for the Standers team. Here's Means working on Anthony. The dish out, 3-ball on the way is short.
Molloy is so good at coming out on shooters, and right there, getting into the head of Peyton Hudson, maybe rushing his shot just a hair.
Anthony, a 3, off to the right. And Moore comes up with it. Vertucci to Anthony. In the post, Herring tries to get it towards Moore. He does. Underneath, Jackson Vertucci with the bucket.
Oh, what a feed there by Khalid Moore. A pass that nobody saw coming except for Vertucci.
Vertucci only took 2 shots Sunday afternoon, missed both of them. But he's on the board here. And a whistle. 2 shots upcoming for Means. and that'll be the second on Anthony. Jordan Means, third team All-League, as a southpaw hits the first one. He has interest from Sacred Heart, Lafayette, Colgate, and Binghamton. Says that this year's team is closer than last year's team, and not having a superstar like Jordan Tucker or Andre Hyatt has been a little bit of a blessing in that there's osmosis with this team. And he says that Tucker is going to be one of the best players that he's ever played with. But in terms of this year's team,
they molded together extremely well, John, and Jordan Means deserves a lot of the credit.
Brown again. Jordan Means.
Jordan Means was really one of the few holdovers from last year, a few guys that played significant minutes. And, you know, you had R.J. Davis coming with all the hype as a freshman. Alan Griffin transfers in. Xavier Wilson transfers in. Joel Soriano transfers in. A lot of guys coming together, and it was kind of put on Jordan Means to be the guy who says, okay, you're going to make everybody be friends here. What a block out of bounds. Didn't even leave his feet. But Jordan Means, you know, from day one, this team, they beat St. Ray's 100-98. A game we had live on news12varsity.com. And it set the tone for the entire year for this team.
I think that game also set the tone for those two teams.
Totally. And it set the tone for the entire league, being one of the highest scoring leagues.
Well, my point is that you have a Stepinac team that gives up 50 points to one player and gets the win because, you know, in regards, it's a team effort. And there you see the team there of Cole Anthony and Moses Brown. Dunk number 7 for Brown.
That's twice he's fallen afterwards.
Gets the jump, Herring, and he picks up his 4th.
Brown is so good at finishing on one end and getting down the floor at the other, but he has slipped and fallen both times he's dunked. It's a 7-point Molloy lead with Wilson now going to the line.
Xavier Wilson, the junior from Spring Valley, said that he really committed his offseason to hitting the gym, and not just the basketball court, but also putting on muscle, building a lean physique.
He's improved dramatically since the beginning of the year.
Treston Livingston checks in for Molloy. Herring to the bench to sit for an extended period of time. Second free throw rims out, 46-40. Molloy, 3:23 to go in the third quarter. Jade C. Anthony thought about it, goes inside the arc. Off the window, no. Collects his own miss, loses it. Brown with authority. And Griffin gets the brunt of it and then gets called for the foul. But credit Alan Griffin for going in where no other forward in this league wants to go.
You know, it's funny. I'm sitting next to Elio Velez, our reporter here for News 12 Varsity. He covers New York City, and especially the Catholic League all year long. Maybe sees probably as many, if not the most Catholic League games of anybody in the tri-state. And he loves listening to the oohs and ahs and just the exasperation of people when they watch Moses Brown do what he does inside, because he's been watching all year. And it's something he even marvels at.
I've gone to about maybe 6 or 7 Molloy games this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to actually get in the building because they sell out against lower tier teams.
Yeah.
But with that said, you've got to get there for the warm-ups before the refs get out there. I mean, it's better than the dunk contest, especially this year's dunk contest. Alan Griffin doesn't need a dunk. He tips it back in, and Stepinac within 4.
Yeah, that wasn't like much of a compliment to the Molloy players, considering this year's dunk contest, what a dud it was. Stepinac hanging around, down 4, 2:38 in the third quarter.
Cole Anthony, a hop step and a layup.
The body control of Cole Anthony is special. Major talents.
To the cup the other way, Peyton Hudson. He averages 8.5 points a game. Both teams exchanging baskets.
you know, as crazy as it sounds, I think Stepinac could live with Cole Anthony doing what Cole Anthony does. Just really eliminate the other guys.
And that was the plan as C misses the three that Massaroni said. He's told me on the phone a couple of days ago. Well, he told me that R.J. Davis is pretty special.
Yeah.
As he knocks down the three to put Stepinac within 48-47.
And that all happened because of the behind-the-back dribbling of Alan Griffin to beat his defender. Another one had to come over to the middle and let R.J. Davis open at the wing.
But he said if you plan to walk into a gym and keep Cole Anthony and Moses Brown to under 10, you're going to lose. Livingston, a three. The southpaw, no. Brown camped underneath. Moses Brown set up a table and chairs on the block, served everyone coffee, and then dunked the basketball. Jordan Means, the kick out. Three is good. Peyton Hudson. We're all squared away at 50.
And it seems that even when Moses Brown is making the backboard shake and Cole Anthony's dazzling inside, Stepinac has not gotten rattled, and they're responding. And here they are tied with under a minute to go in the third quarter. And that means something. That you know, don't get beat up and don't get mentally down when the other guy dunks. He's 7'1".
See the floater, gets the roll. A 52-50 advantage for Molloy. A 2-second differential between the game and shot clock as Means gets fouled. And Livingston, the culprit.
For the second time today, someone has texted me while doing the broadcast asking, how tall is number one? He is 7'1", Moses Brown.
He's also 16 years old.
Unbelievable. I mean, just...
Here's my question that I always wanted to know. Is that, imagine if he didn't play basketball. Isn't it funny that you just see every person that's north of 6'7",
yeah,
whether they're as gifted as Brown or not, always plays basketball. I've never seen somebody that tall never play basketball.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some, but, you know, with a guy like Moses Brown, I'm sure his whole life he's been told, you should play basketball. Mm-hmm. And you need to play basketball. And if you're not playing basketball, you're wasting your height, your God-given height. And sometimes those players don't love basketball. And I think I've seen Moses Brown, from the first time I saw him to now, just feel a lot more comfortable on a basketball court.
Said he's improved on catching the ball cleaner this year. Has surpassed his expectations of where he wanted to be in his junior campaign. 10 seconds left to go in this third quarter. All knotted at 52. Here's C on the wing, trying to get it to Anthony. Now he does. 3 seconds. Anthony at the horn, short. And we will head to the fourth quarter, tied at 52 between Archbishop Stepinac and Archbishop Molloy. I dare you to find a more entertaining league in the tri-state area than this one. And it should be a good fourth quarter. We'll be back right after this on News 12 Varsity's Game Time.
Who will rise higher, dunk harder, and go farther? The playoffs are here. Tune to News 12 Varsity all postseason long.
We are 8 minutes away from settling the 2016-17 CHSAA final. Cardinal Hayes has punched its ticket. We're tied at 52 here. Means for the lead, gets blocked by Brown.
Means did everything he could to protect that ball from Brown, and he couldn't.
As C draws the foul. These two teams met on February 7th at the Jack Curran Gymnasium, just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Right on Main Street, probably about a 5-minute drive and 15-minute walk. And it was Stepinac with the win in that one. Khalid Moore with the bump, doesn't get the bucket. Brown, and this time, just using the glass.
Safer that way for the basket. And he got blood, I think, coming down from Khalid Moore. His eye is wide open.
Here's Vertucci. Underneath to Brown, and he gets the dunk. And yeah, Khalid Moore He's wearing that one.
He got
and he'll
split
get tended
open.
to.
Yeah, he got split open there. He might have to change his jersey if he got blood on it.
Right above that right eye. And he'll be tended to. He's a trooper. He's a player that broke his nose in the second game of the season. Came back against Iona Prep in late December. That was a game where Molloy won in New Rochelle. He was told Varsity was in attendance, as were you, Kevin.
I was, yeah. 18 points apiece in 3 quarters for Cole Anthony of Molloy and Alan Griffin of Stepinac. Kind of balanced it out, like you said. You're not gonna stop and hold Cole Anthony down for long. You're not gonna prevent Moses Brown from dunking. So just understand that Anthony's gonna make those shots. Brown's gonna slam and shake the whole backboard.
And now they're going to wipe up the blood off the floor. That's Chris Murphy, the assistant. As Moore's going to be taken to the locker room and gets a standing ovation from the crowd. The one benefit for Moore is that there's 7:14 left to go in this one. So hopefully he gets taped up quickly. Now, I'm not a doctor or a physical therapist or anything, but that didn't look good, and you just hope that he doesn't need stitches and make it stop.
I don't know if they're going to be able to stop that bleeding.
R.J. Davis working on Jade C. And a foul on the floor. Davis, just another polished freshman in this Catholic League. But he throws that one away.
And Wilson's going to get called for hitting Cole Anthony,
who took a long spill.
I think he sold it. I think it was some acting there from Cole Anthony. Second foul on Xavier Wilson.
So Molloy without 2 starters. One has 4 fouls on the bench in John Herring. Khalid Moore to the locker room to get tended to for that right eye. Here's R.J. Davis with the steal to the cup, blocked by Anthony. Are you kidding me? What can't this kid do?
That trainer better come back and check Cole Anthony's hand.
Somebody better check the PSI in that ball. Here's Griffin. And Griffin's going to get called for steps. And the momentum swaying to the kids from Briarwood. A 56-52 lead. 6:41 to go in this 4th quarter.
Just marveling at the hustle. That was all hustle for Cole Anthony in that block.
Could be a big stretch for the Stanners. Anthony looking inside, flips it to Bertucci. C doesn't have an option. And that'll stay with Molloy, 14 on the shot clock. Anthony flings it to C, bounces it underneath. Brown gets his shot altered and a foul. Alan Griffin saying that he had the verticality of just going straight up. Mike Nardone, the official, thought other. As Brown sinks the first one. Brown with offers from St. John's, Seton Hall, Michigan, Maryland, and Kansas. As he goes 2 for 2.
How would you not offer him?
I'd offer him, yeah. Davis, the floater over Brown, no. And that'll go to Molloy.
And it seems like Stepinac is just kind of falling out of this right now. They're only down by 6 with 6:07 left, but it feels like Molloy, it seems like Molloy, when they need a basket, they get a basket.
Both teams with a healthy amount of timeouts. Molloy with 5, Stepinac with 4. If you were thinking about slowing down the pace. Livingston can't hit it as Vertucci tries to save it, and it'll be Crusader basketball.
And I think Livingston was waiting for Moses Brown to do something. He was just staying on the low block there. I think he's played a lot of minutes, Moses Brown. I'm not sure he's come out of the game.
He is not.
So maybe wearing out a little bit.
Jordan Means over Brown. And that's the one thing, too. There were times last year where Moses Brown wouldn't play for long stretches or even an entire quarter. The bank is open for Cole Anthony at 9-12 on a Wednesday in Queens, and he gives Molloy a 60-54 lead. Griffin, a 3, in and out.
Stepinac needed that. Down 6 now, 5:22.
C on the wing. And now John Herring will check back in for Molloy. He picked up his 4th foul early in the 3rd quarter. Livingston going to the bench. And with the exception of C, Molloy with 4 of its 5 starters on the floor.
We've not seen Khalid Moore return.
Three minutes gone by in the 4th quarter. Anthony and Hudson. Anthony with the handle, and it's taken away by Davis. Davis tried to get it to Griffin, just a step too late, and we'll get a foul. And that'll go to Jade C. His 3rd and the team's 7th. RJ Davis, even though he's a freshman, has taken on a leadership role this year. Said that the team has been pretty receptive to him, and when he got the call that he was going to be on the varsity squad, the rest of the team welcomed him with open arms.
A couple of my good friends teach at Grady Elementary School in Elmsford, where RJ Davis went to elementary school, and they marveled and raved about what he was like as a young kid. As you see Moses Brown just doing anything he wants inside.
He makes it a 62-56 lead.
Undersized by 5 inches at every position at least is Stepinac with Moses Brown inside.
Front rims the free throw. To the cup, flipping it up. Wilson can't get it to go. That would have been big for the Crusaders. And that'll be the 2nd on Brown, the team's 8th.
Amazing how a big man that everybody drives at to try and draw fouls does not commit any fouls.
As he misses the first one, Wilson a 53% free throw shooter. He hits the 2nd as Khalid Moore is back. See him at the top of your screen. Bandage above the eye and a fresh jersey. Vertucci dumping it off to Anthony. Up and under, 2nd chance, Cole Anthony.
Just relentless inside.
And that'll be on C. That's his 4th. And here comes Moore.
The trainer is talking to the official about the work he did, maybe about how blood could come out.
Well, and you saw blood on the cheek as well.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if they maybe the delay was that they had to get his second jersey, second home jersey. Somebody made the quick trip to Briarwood.
I don't think that was it.
Herring to Brown. Brown the fall away. Doesn't get it to go. Anthony with the board. Anthony tough inside, an offensive foul.
Wow. That is a difficult foul. Difficult foul to call against Cole Anthony. Oof.
Here's Jordan Means working on Moore, swatted by Brown. Back the other way, Hudson. Transition three, bang!
And Pat Massaroni hustles over and calls a timeout with 3:32 left. Stepinac back within 4. Just felt like it was at a point where Stepinac was maybe a basket or 2 away from falling out of this, and they got a steal and then a 3 in transition, and Peyton Hudson, of course, is the guy who delivers it.
The one thing that you could say about Stepinac is that they've had open shooters this entire game, whether it's the drive and the kick out, whether it's just creating separation, and we even saw it in the transition game as well. Final 3:32, Molloy and Stepinac. Jade C. And Davis committing the foul. Third foul on Davis. He misses the front end of the 1-and-1, and it will go to the Crusaders. Well, we saw this in game 1, Kevin, how missed free throws almost gave the game away for Cardinal Hayes.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's a polite way of putting it. Cardinal Hayes probably is sitting in the stands watching this game saying, how are we in the final after what happened in the final minute and a half? As their officials are trying to talk this over. And
nope, and they're looking at Khalid Moore, and they're going to send him off. There's Fran Leary, the assistant coach.
And this is a lot of pressure to put on the trainer here. He went to the official and said,
well, it looked as if he had a butterfly bandage on, but you could see the blood going down his cheek.
And they afforded them some time to get it cleaned up, but you can't keep doing that. It's just not fair to Stepinac.
And I believe that's what Massaroni was saying.
Yeah, he
to
said
the
it's a
officials
simple
too.
rule. If there's blood, you got to come out of the game.
R.J. Davis. The floater high off the window, no. Ball tapped around. Wilson has it. Going over Brown, no. The tap again and a foul. So 2 shots for Wilson. And he gets the first one.
Hit the front of the rim, and it just the spin forward going into the net.
One more for Wilson. 3:04 to go. 64-62 Molloy. Cole Anthony and Jordan Means. Both a part of the All-City team. The scoop, Moore.
What a feed there by Anthony.
And now Anthony the takeaway. Molloy hasn't played in many close games this year. They knew that it wouldn't be easy in the playoffs. Moore, a three. Griffin. And he draws the foul.
It's going against Anthony. It seems like all the calls recently have gone against Anthony or against Moses Brown.
And that's his third.
And Anthony better be careful. He's been making faces, talking to the officials. This is not the time or place.
But you know what? Credit the officials in both games, too, in that they haven't had quick triggers in teeing players up. I'm not saying you want to tempt them. I'm just saying we've seen in the 2 games, they kind of let the players play.
I watched a game this past weekend, a championship game in Section 1, where the best player on the floor picked up a second foul in the first quarter, then got called for a tech right after that for disputing the call and 3 fouls, and it really ruined Tappan Zee's chances of competing.
It's a 2-point game, 66-64, 2:05 to go in the fourth quarter. Anthony. He draws the foul.
Stepinac switching on screens with Xavier Wilson at the top. Moses Brown setting the screens, and Xavier Wilson switching, and they haven't disrupted Cole Anthony all that much by doing that.
Cole Anthony, dubbed by some coaches as the best player that they've seen at this age since Stephon Marbury, the star at Lincoln, then Georgia Tech, played well in the NBA, had a rebirth in China. I'm sure if Cole had it his way, it would just be high school, college, NBA.
Yeah.
And just keep it there.
I'm going to put him in the same category, but not as good as when I saw Sebastian Telfair when he was in high school.
Okay.
Telfair just absolutely controlled every aspect of the game, even his junior year.
And he had stars going to his high school games as well. Davis, a three, it's good. R.J. Davis.
Massaroni wanted the timeout after Davis tied it up with 1:35 to go.
Moore into the front court, offensive foul.
And now Massaroni wants that timeout. 67-67. Molloy does not like the call, and Stepinac's going to talk it over.
A big charge taken, and Mike McCleary's going to get his money's worth.
He better be careful.
This has been a fun one. 67-67. Minute 27 to go. R.J. Davis glides into the front court. Gets a screen from Griffin, driving right side of the paint. The dish off. Wilson.
What a great play by Davis. Drove just enough to draw Brown and dish it off for a wide open basket. Stepinac ahead.
Anthony to the cup, no, but a foul. And that's the 5th foul on Alan Griffin. And that's a big blow to Stepinac.
That's about as big of a blow as you can get. Best player on Stepinac going to the bench.
But the theme of Stepinac this year has always been next man up.
It's been the story of 2016, 2017 for Stepinac.
.5 to go. Anthony with his team down 2. Make it 1. Every team, I guess you could say in the history of sports, even as dominant as they've been, has always had a weak spot.
Yeah.
Look at Georgetown with Villanova to go to that level.
There's
Maybe Stepinac is that for Molloy. And Massaroni will talk it over. And it'll be a quick 30 for the Crusaders as they set up their offense. 49.7 seconds left in this one. 27 on the game clock. And if you're Massaroni, what are you telling your squad here? What's the play you're drawing?
We need to score in this possession. We need to have a lead here because we can't try and play end-to-end. I don't even think they like their chances. They went to overtime with Allen Griffin. I think they need to score here. Go to the well here. Whatever the best play you have, Pat Massaroni, draw it up right now. You need a basket. I think you look to Jordan Means. I think you attack the middle on Moses Brown, and you try and create, just like you did the last time with R.J. Davis.
Mekhi Johnson, Xavier Wilson, R.J. Davis, Peyton Hudson, and Jordan Means on the floor for the Crusaders. Jade C., Cole Anthony, Khalid Moore, John Herring, and Moses Brown for the Stanners. Here comes Davis as Massaroni tells him to pump the brakes. Davis, Johnson at 3. Off to the right. And a .5 differential between the game and shot clock. Cole Anthony with a chance to put his team into the final.
Just casually dribbling out here at midcourt.
And he was waiting for his coach to call a timeout. And now as we actually look at the clock, there's no difference between the game and shot clock. If that, maybe it's .00001 with that said, but you know what, Kevin? Now what's the play from Molloy?
I think it's going inside. I think you're going to go inside. I think you go inside maybe with a little bit of time. Maybe with 5 seconds you get a shot up because you have the best offensive rebounder maybe in the nation on your side in Moses Brown. Give him a chance. I like Cole Anthony with the first shot, and I like giving Moses Brown a chance to get a putback at the buzzer.
Stepinac has one more timeout left. Molloy has 5. Just to give you that.
I think Stepinac's got to save the last timeout because if Molloy does score, they have to immediately call it.
And both teams committing 10 fouls. This is a Molloy team that at times through the Catholic League has run unchallenged. And now we see the officials talking to Molloy's trainer as well off the camera. And the trainer just went back. But you'd have to imagine that Khalid Moore might be a point of emphasis for these officials and to watch him.
18.2 seconds now on the clock.
As they put time back. So a 1.2 differential. And there you see Moore with the butterfly, and that might be scotch tape in there too.
Yeah, it's something to get it to stop bleeding. He's had some big baskets here. Had a big basket before to tie the game up at 67. And Cole Anthony telling the fans sitting right near us, we're going to win this right now. I just am so taken back by how calm and confident Cole Anthony is. Just watching him dribble just now in front of us, a foot away from us, and then now coming over here and telling some fans seated right behind us, we're going to win this game right now. 69 all, 18.2 seconds left.
I'm sure you'd want that confidence out of any player every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And Molloy has gotten that for 2 seasons. Jordan Means staring right into Cole Anthony. 18.2 seconds to go. They lob it into Anthony in the backcourt. Anthony and Means. 5 seconds. Anthony to the cup for the win. It's tapped out by Herring, and Stepinac will have the ball. Excuse me, a late foul. That's a late foul on Xavier Wilson as we saw the official come in late.
Oh my goodness. That is rough. There really, nobody had the basketball there. We are easily going to overtime, and a whistle comes in here. Cole Anthony had a great look at it. I believe it was Khalid Moore who had a good chance at a putback. Moses Brown was right there. Ball bouncing around out to midcourt, and the refs are going to get together.
That's a tough call to make in that spot. Now Moore, still with the blood raining down from his face.
I think they're talking about time being put back on.
Well, not just that, Kevin, too, but also, you know, it's going to be a discussion about Moore and about him shooting these free throws and about the blood coming down off of his eyebrows as well.
Well, I would, if I'm Stepinac, then I wouldn't let them, if he has to come out of the game, don't let them choose who they want to go in.
Yeah.
So 0.6 in the clock is going to be put back on.
So 0.6. Moore to the line. Molloy with a 70-69 lead. They won a game like this against Christ the King at Christ the King on February 10th. This for a chance to go to the city title game. He gets the second, a whistle and a lane violation. Does Stepinac have more magic?
More than
in
magic.
This great season.
This is miracle time. With 7'1" standing in front of you as he inbounds, how they're going to catch, turn, and get it off in 0.6 seconds, I don't know.
Wilson will trigger it in. .6 seconds to go. Wilson throws it in, Davis fumbles it, and Molloy advances. Molloy survives. But Stepinac gave him a run for their money. A 70-69 final. And Molloy is headed back to the city final for the first time since the 2000 season.
Stepinac could have handled coming in here and getting beat. They could have handled losing by 30. They could handle losing by 1. But losing like that is not going to sit well for a long time with this Crusader team and head coach Pat Massaroni. They lost to a talented team. They lost to a team that will go into a final against Cardinal Hayes as a favorite to win the title. But man, is that as difficult a loss as you will ever see.
So we'll have a quick thought as these teams go to the locker room, and then we'll catch up there. Molloy and Hayes, I'm not asking you to make a pick, but it will be an interesting game to say the least between the two.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, you talk about Hayes being undersized, and they're never going to be more undersized than they're going to be against Archbishop Molloy. So it should be a fun final. It's been an unpredictable season. When you think something's going to happen, something totally different does. So be sure to watch on News 12 Varsity on Sunday for this Catholic Championship.
We'll be back to talk to the player of the game in a moment on News 12 Varsity's Game Time.
On March 12th, starting at 11 a.m., watch the best of Long Island high school basketball battle for the right to be called champions. Live on Channel 14. This doubleheader begins at 11 a.m. with the Class A Finals, followed by the Class AA Finals at 1:30 p.m. Watch the best of Long Island high school basketball live on the big screen on Optimum Channel, Channel 14.
Back with a very happy Cole Anthony after, I'd have to say, probably one of your more stressful games this season. But with that said, with about a second and a half left, you looked to the crowd and said, we're winning this game right now. Can you just talk about the confidence that you've had in this team the entire year and what this team's been through?
I mean, the thing about the team is, I said it before, since the beginning of the season, this team has just gotten progressively better and better and better. We've started to look better as a team, and that's what's ultimately led to our victories.
A little bit of a slow start for you, and then you just, go berserk. Why don't you talk about what you were able to do for those final 3 quarters to get your team into it?
I got a charge early in the game, and I realized at that point what they were doing and how they were trying to play me. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm going to have to approach this game differently than I usually do, because a lot of teams will let me get to the rim easily. So I just approached it differently, and it ultimately opened up my team, which then opened up myself.
Not to say that you guys weren't challenged a lot this year, but you did run roughshod through your division and played some pretty one-sided games. What does it say about this team to not only win those huge games, but then also grind out these tough victories as well?
I mean, it says that this team just has a lot of heart. I mean, everyone has a will to win on this team. Like I know for a fact that everyone in that locker room wants to win the game just as much as I do.
You get Cardinal Hayes on Sunday. Tough team. What do you like about your team's chances? What do you guys have to do?
I mean, we're just going to have to dig them inside. I mean, we're a lot bigger than them, and we're honestly just going to have to take advantage of that size advantage and see what else we can do.
Appreciate it, Cole. A close victory for Molloy. They win by 1, and they're punching their ticket to their first city title since 2000. They'll take on Cardinal Hayes. For our producer, Tom Schnars, and my live caster, Elio Velez, and partner, Kevin Devaney Jr., as well as Amanda Puglisi, who helped out today. This is John Perez signing off. This has been a presentation of News 12 Varsity's Game Time.